and welcome to day 4 of the Eco Business Challenge. So today we're going to be talking about office and stationery supplies. Regardless of whatever trade you're in, it is likely that you have some of these, even if it's things like a pen and a paper and a notepad or a diary. So this is relevant to most of you, I hope. So just a few ideas of things that I have started to look at and changes that I've made that could get you thinking about what you could do. So when buying paper, for example, so printing paper, notepads, diaries, you want to be looking for paper that has the symbols on it of FSC, and that is the Forest Stewardship Council. You don't need to know what it really means, other than it's made from sustainable forest sources, basically. So sustainable forests. And also things like being made of recycled paper. So those are two really good things to look for when you're buying anything paper-based. Even things like business cards, you can look for kind of the forest-friendly recycled paper business cards as well. So other things to be thinking about, pens. If you have an office or a space where lots of other people share it with you, it's likely that you are just out of pens all of the time. Where do they go? So have a think about where they go, and perhaps doing an amnesty and getting people to search their drawers, search their bags and bring back the pens. Or you could be looking at things like pens that are refillable. So actually in the long term you can save money by just buying refills. In the short term you might have to invest in slightly better pens, for example, but that could be another way to reduce your waste with pens. Other things to think about within the office, you've got things like printers. And I talked about printing paper, but what about the ink? What about the actual printing itself? So what about looking at ways that you can reduce your printing? You know, think before you print on emails, you know, printing things on draft, economy settings, or just not printing at all, or double-sided, you know, 2 pages to 1, for example. Loads of things you could be doing around printer and printer settings, okay? So the other thing to think about when buying these things is whether you really need them. Now what I mean by that is I have been somebody that has loved a paper diary all my life, and every year I have one. Now this year was the first year that I thought, I don't know if I need it anymore, because I've not used it for several months actually, and I've started using an online calendar, and I actually thought I wasn't going to use one this year. However, I actually had one donated to me for someone that just was given too many for Christmas. So I do have a paper one at the moment, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it because I'm thinking the online calendar might work better for me. And so think about what if you really need it. You know, do you need to buy that paper diary or notepad even? Do you need a notepad, or are you using online notes, you know, emails to keep notes and you know, message people? So just kind of think about what you really need before you actually buy it, just out of routine, for example. And what about things like tape? Like traditionally, of course, we're all used to having sellotape in the office. What about having something like paper tape, brown paper tape instead of sellotape in the office? So looking at your office supplies and looking at what swaps you could make really simply. Okay, and something else to think about. If you post out any goods, I'm not going to talk about packaging as such, but think about what goes in your box, your paper supply. So you might have a business card, you might have a discount card, and you might have some information about your products, for example. I want you just to think about what happens to those as soon as the box is opened, and be brutally honest. A lot of the paper or card will go straight in the bin, hopefully the recycling bin, of course, but they will go in the bin. So I want you to think about your customers and perhaps think about your new customers are slightly different to your existing loyal customers that know you and your brand well. New customers, you might want to give them the discount code, the business card, any other information about your products, for example. But with loyal existing customers, you might not need to send that gump every time. You know, if they have an already existing discount code, then they don't need another one. If you want to communicate about your products to somebody that knows your products well, they don't need that information. So I want you to look at that kind of paper stationery that you're using out of routine and look at ways that you can perhaps reduce that. So this week's challenges. around stationery, or today's challenges, shall I say. First of all, I want you to write a list of all the stationery that you currently use within your business. So your pens, your paper, flyers, business cards, paper tape, whatever it is, make a list of it. And then I want you to make a note next to it of perhaps any suggestions that come to mind, any ideas that come to mind of how you could reduce that. So, for example, business cards. Do you need to give out business cards? Or if you're face-to-face with people, for example, could they take a photograph of a master business card? To be honest, somebody like me will lose paper business cards. I'm much better having it on a photo, and then I can actually look through my photos and find it when I need it. Or, again, if you're face-to-face, could you get people to sign up to a mailing list or a Facebook page there and then when you're with them, so that they can find you easily, rather than needing the paper business card, for example, that is likely to get lost, I hate to say. So that's your first challenge, is to make that list and maybe write some ideas down of how you could reduce it. And your second challenge is to do a stationery amnesty. So whether it's just you, or whether you have, like we do, a home here of multiple offices, or whether you have an office, a shop, whatever it is, I want you to do an amnesty and basically get everybody to look through their drawers and their bags and everywhere and collect all the stationery they have hanging around and put it back in the stationery designated area, so you can see what stationery you actually have. And of course, if people need a pen or a notepad, they can keep the minimum amount they need, but all the extras go back into a stock. And check what is already there, so you know what you don't need to order yet. Okay, and that is it. Obviously, choose one of those challenges. If you want to do both, as usual, of course you can, but the idea is to choose one, so it is, useful for your time or limited time that you have. And don't forget to post in the EcoEssex business group so we can see how you are achieving that one today, and to share your successes. Thanks for now. See you tomorrow.